And today, we've been talking about, we're on number 9 of our 10-part series, and we've been talking about kind of the transition to go from a paper-based shop to a fully digital shop. And we've been kind of starting out with some baby steps, and now we're getting into the good complex stuff. And today what we're going to be talking about, the title of the show is Digital Service Advisor Might Need a Gym Membership. And what does that mean? That's some term that Uwe coined a long time ago, and he loves using it. But basically what that means is if you take full advantage of the productivity and the efficiency tools that AutoVitals provides, you're going to do a lot less running around in the shop. And, we've actually measured this stuff out, right? We had matter of fact, Frank Scandura did an analysis for us. And in a paper-based shop, average in a day, your service advisor is going to take about 15,000 steps on average, right? We had guys wearing Fitbits, the whole thing, tracking their mileage, right? Well, every step they take is one step away from your customer on the phone or at the counter. It's one step towards going to interrupt a technician. It's one step towards more of an inefficient, kind of make it up on the fly type of a process, which inherently has a lot of flaws, right? And if we can communicate better, if we can see our statuses and use things like our special markers more effectively, well, we stay at the counter. The techs don't get as many interruptions. And what ends up happening is we reduce those 15,000 steps a day down to about 4,000 on average, right? And so that's a lot less calories burned. And so you might get some fat service advisors, but that's a good problem to have because your wallet's going to get fat too. And so we want to kind of explore that. We've got Thomas Richardson. I don't know if you got introduced yet, Thomas, but Thomas is from Master Tech Automotive, been with us for quite some time, involved in turbo, involved in a lot of, the back and forth with us on improving the product out of Richland, Washington. Welcome, Thomas. Great to have you on.
Thanks. Good to be here. It's a good product, so I'm really glad to support it.
And tell us a little bit about kind of how you got involved on turbo and kind of, getting not just as a user, but actually getting involved in kind of, designing the nuts and bolts, as it were.
Yeah, we jumped in on TVP, and wanted to be cutting edge digital shop, communicating with the customers with pictures. Those things were really important. So when we dove in, it just so happens that, my technician, especially one of my technicians and me, were both pretty aggressive about what the digital product was doing and pretty vocal about it. And, finding, at first, okay, we're finding some holes, some things we'd like to fix. And we started, finding workarounds or vocalizing it. And so it just grew into something where we felt like we were doing the effort anyway of, saying, hey, here's what I see, here's what happened, here's what broke, here's what didn't, as well as here's what works great. I mean, this isn't a bash session, but, we were a little extra critical at times, but on purpose, and so it worked really well for us to have an outlet and help develop some things and have some influence, we think.
Yeah.
We're pretty aggressive.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And that's how we get to the point we're at, right? It's shops like you that come in and hold us accountable, and like you said, give us the good, bad, and the ugly, helps us just to make a better product.
And we did some things like, Uwe, can you change this? He goes, yeah, we might be able to do that. And I said, Uwe, can you change that? And he, you guys built this tool and the back end. And he says, no, I'm not changing that. Okay, thanks, Uwe, for the conversation.
Yeah, groovy Uvi. So, and that's kind of what happens, right? Is, some stuff is and we like to put it up to a consensus and kind of throw it out there and say, because how it is, you guys are a bunch of rugged individualists, a bunch of anarchists with businesses, right? and you're gonna want it your way. And if you can get enough people that say, yeah, that's going to benefit me. And of course, you're always going to have people that are going to say, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. I'll never use it. But if we can get enough users and then develop it from there, it's going to benefit all eventually. And even some of those people that initially, they end up coming around, at the end of the day, right? It might take a little while. They see other people having success. They hear about these things, and then they jump on board and they start taking advantage of it. And that's kind of all that digital road to adoption.
Right.
Are you gonna come sit down with me? We're gonna start the infogram. We got to get Uwe logged on. I had to come take his seat. He's wandering around over there, doesn't know where to go. Hey, Bill, have you been introduced? Bill, I've got my cohort, my partner in crime here, Bill Connor. Welcome onto the show, Bill.
Thanks for inviting me again. I'm just lurking and listening in the background, waiting for my opportunity to participate a little bit later.
Do you guys know each other? Yeah, Thomas?
Oh, yeah,
Thomas
we've
and
talked on
Bill?
the phone quite a few times, yeah. Bill is the one that keeps calling me and asking me, are we ready to go live yet? You know.
Good.
Looking for signs of life,
Good.
that's all.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and so if we can, let's kind of jump right into it. Again, we've got a really good, I think, roadmap. Kind of some to-dos and don'ts that Uwe built out for us for this episode. We'd like to, I think, open up and just kind of go through and start a discussion and really talk, Thomas, if you can, and give us some insight on, are we crazy, just like you've been doing, right? Or is this something that you're adopting or looking to adopt or have a plan to adopt, and really kind of get a good conversation going around how do we make that efficient, what process changes maybe did you have to implement, what kind of retraining maybe did you have to do, or habit development, and how did you handle that? And really, how do we make those implementation changes at the front counter so that we can use those productivity and efficiency tools to their fullest and get those advantages? Okay. Dustin, are you going to go ahead and pop that graphic? What we're going to be talking about. Oh, there's Uwe. Uwe got us connected. I think Uwe's going to walk us through it a bit once we can get that loaded up. And really, we want to talk about is some of those best practice habits that you can change to starting today, at the front counter to start to realize some of the potential from those tools.
Tom already explained very nicely why, we coined the phrase a long time ago. We just stopped the number of steps so tremendously, and that's hard, right? It's a habit. Every service advisor and some technicians know a portion of the paper-based process is running back and forth to get information, which is crucial to do the job. And now we turn it all into digital things. So what's the first reaction from somebody who has been doing this for a long time? Are you nuts? I'm not going to type this out. I'm so much faster in talking. So the little bit back and forth is not going to slow me down. Right? That's often the first reaction, because the habits have been perfected, and now we come along and say, oh, you can stay at the counter and you can stay at the vehicle. And so I would like to introduce basically the vehicle alert feature, because we were thinking about this hard, and I think we're the only ones in the system, in the market doing it. We really try to find a way to say, what is the easiest and fastest way to generate information for the tech and the service advisor? And so we invented the vehicle alert. And what is that? Instead of opening a chat window by the service advisor or by the tech and then say, hey, service advisor, or hey, tech, I'm talking about our own number XYZ and the job ABC, there's a problem with it, or here's an update. We just put everything on a button. So all you need to do is go into your TVP, press a button, or on your tablet, press the smart alert, and then everything gets auto-generated. Meaning you can just communicate with one button press. There's no way that anything else can be faster than that. So Thomas, from your perspective, if you had to say what the percentage is between using the vehicle alert and using normal team chat, as we call it, do you have an estimate how much the vehicle alert is used versus the team chat?
For us, I think we're like 80 now, 20% on the alerts, but wanting to grow that to, I'm, guessing, but, I'd like to grow it to like 50-50 because of the robustness of it. If it has the right, there has to be some thought, I think, put into what those alerts do and say, so you're not cookie cuttering the other direction. You're hitting a button because it's quicker and easier, but it should have the right information to be correct. So we use some of the buttons we use on every job all the time. So when we do start using these alerts and the tile buttons, they get used a lot. And so we're just going to be growing from there. A lot of these tile alerts are about when the car needs to be done. That's really important to us. Staying on schedule. That's one of the first ones we implemented. It's on the tile in the button, and you can see it. Every time you open your tablet, look at it, you can see where your time schedule is.
So do you have your TVP in front of you and wouldn't? So you can see it. And so what you're talking about is creating a smart marker, which then says either using a countdown timer and say it has to be done in whatever 2 minutes, or saying it has to be done at 10 a.m. 11 a.m.
Right. We created our own one on that, and then like customer waiting, things like that, those are easy answered. Tow in. The car was towed in. We used to write that into the text body because we want to make sure that's documented. Because towing it in is also a legal thing. It gives us permission to work on the car without a signature. I mean, there's some things that are important to document and have in place, and I can now do that with about 3 seconds worth of work.
So if you could share your screen, I don't know, maybe I cannot see it on my tablet here. Or
I'm on it on my other computer, so I can get it up on here though. I've had it running on my tablet, so let me jump over there. I'm not sure how to do that on this. I haven't done that, so I'm hoping I don't lose you. I still hear you in the background.
Hey, Tom, maybe in the meantime you could answer that or ask the question that Jose posed in the Q&A section.
Lay it on me, buddy. No, I can't.
Okay, it says,
yeah,
no, that's fine. Jose says, has anyone developed a position that takes care of all digital inspection editing, or do all the service advisors take care of all of them? Specialized roles in the shop. Anybody
that's a great question, and I believe, hey, first of all, thanks for coming on, Jose, and listening. Thanks for the question. And I believe there are some, and I know I was talking with a guy who's looking to do exactly that, is just hire somebody whose job it is to kind of publish that inspection sheet, do all the the editing and really dial it in and make it perfect for that motorist. And do all the detail work. So, I mean, if you got the bandwidth, or even if you've got somebody, a family member, maybe your son or daughter who's coming up into the business, great place to cut their teeth there. And a lot of people will hire, even some interns or some part-time help to come up and teach them how to do some of those basic steps. So, I think any help to put the focus on completeness of the inspection sheet is going to pay off for you.
So Tom, one of the things I see with shops that I work with all the time is the service writer actually edits the inspection sheet, and then it shows if a shop has an estimator or a parts person, they take care of the estimating, then it goes back to the service writer for a review, and then the service advisor sends it. So breaking up that work into specialty areas, and that'll be one of the things that John probably talks about next week also, is effectively using the skill sets that the people have in your shop and breaking it down and letting them specialize in what they're really good at. But yeah, I see that all
Yeah.
the time, and it's pretty common to see that developing as we get more into the digital age.
Yeah, it's really good to have an extra set of eyes on stuff because you catch more things. And especially somebody, even if you bring them outside, maybe you're hiring them more for their customer service ability than their automotive, background and knowledge. They kind of approach things from a motorist perspective versus from a tech perspective, right? And that can help you a lot in your communication to people who, aren't ASE master techs.
So Uva seems to be muted.
Yeah, I think you're muted, Uva.
Yeah, I guess I should not do that. Thomas, how far is your attempt to share your screen?
I think I have it. I think I
Awesome.
figured it out. I haven't ever done that on this. I've never tried. So let me.
So I like this show. See, this show teaches you new skills in real time.
Yeah, it is real time, and I have screen recording up now. I don't know what that means. We're going to go with that. I don't know what's. Are you seeing it? I don't. That's interesting. This is a new practice for me, but.
So hover over the top of your screen and see if you can find a button that says share, and then choose the monitor you want to share.
He's on a tablet.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's a tablet. It's an Apple tablet.
Tricky.
Yeah,
that's tricky.
Yeah, it works great except for new features. Does that do anything?
No, I just turned off your camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about Bill? Bill, can you bring up Thomas's TVP and share it?
Yeah, if you give me just a minute to go do that, I'll go ahead and prepare it in the background here.
Yeah. No problem. I'll fill some more time in. I'm up here floating around in the clouds anyway. I'm over here in Uva's.
So maybe we talk about the ability of the communication again. So we talked about special markers replace a lot of chat you normally have in the team chat. Thomas used 2 examples, right? When a customer vehicle has to be done, very important. You don't need to chat and then other people have to remind that or remind themselves somehow, because a chat is like Facebook, right? It's only current in the next 5 minutes, and then you have to think, wasn't there something about this customer? So that's why we introduce special markers. They stay on, service advisor sees them, and technicians see them on the tablet, and they can create even alerts, right? If the time is up, then you better are done by then. And that has nothing to do with chat or anything. It's just an awesome way to remind everybody in the shop what's important about this vehicle. And you can use it for parts management. You can use it for actually anything. We have shops who use the smart marker feature in a way that they created up to 400 different smart markers and then run everything in the shop using the smart markers. So everybody sees at any time what's special about the vehicle. And in the new version, they'll let us know when you're up. Instead of only 3 smart markers, we doubled that number. We have now 6. And 2 are dedicated to customer and vehicle, and 4 are dedicated to the work order. How are you doing, Bill?
I'm still waiting for my computer to load. I'm in the middle of a thunderstorm. It's just another one of today's challenges.
Yes. So then let's talk, and it's a little weird that we're...
So, hey, real quick, Uva, if I could, can we just talk, so maybe some folks don't use smart markers that are in the audience right now. Maybe they're new to Auto Vitals. So let's talk a little bit about what exactly is, make a little bit more clear what a smart marker does, if we could.
Okay, though they are like 3 types of smart markers. And Thomas, feel free to chime in. The very simple one is it's just a button, a status button, where you can, for example, tell the tech, this is a no start vehicle. Don't go on a test drive, right? Don't grab the key and try to start the vehicle and go on a test drive. That's a typical example. Service advisor puts it on manually. Simple status.
And so almost think of it like it's almost like a canned Post-it note, right? It's almost like instead of having to go in and type this information, hey, the wheel lock key is in the glove box, or like it was said, toe in, don't start, or don't roll down the passenger side window. All those kind of little, customer's a waiter. Those little bits of information that you would either need to write down somewhere or remember to tell somebody. Now you have the ability to just attach that digital Post-it note to that job with a click of a button, and they're fully customizable. And a lot of them will do even more functions for you, like timers, countdown. When your parts delivery is expected, the guy told you he's going to be here in an hour, start running the timer. When it gets down to 0, you better see some parts on the counter. And so you're more efficient in managing your dispatching and setting expectations for when parts delivery are. But guess what else? When they don't show up, you're quicker to realize it, get on the horn, and expedite delivery.
And am I going to sign in as Thomas?
That's one of the things we actually use the chat for now more. And maybe I'll review processes and see whether that we can transition to a smart marker, and my decision will be, is it either a more efficient process or less likely to have information get missed or lost on that decision, whether to implement a new procedure. Missing information, missing communication is the big gorilla in the room in this with either of these tools. So that's always my standard.
This is awesome. If I may, Tom, to talk about this, right? So we have been thinking about this a lot because the old TDP looks like a Boeing cockpit. It's always so much information. Where do you look first, and how do you keep that all in mind? This is really difficult. So we made a decision and said, graphical information is much better consumed, easier to digest, and you keep it in mind because you look at it and immediately knows what it is if done right. So instead of having to type it out, which costs time, to read it, which costs time, and then remember where it was written, in other words, scroll up and down in chats, you just put it on a smart marker, and that's it, right? And so what is a typical smart marker? If you could expand the work order, Bill, we can all see it. So here's one smart marker. It's called extended. Thomas, you will probably explain to us what that means.
The yellow one, and it's usually the first one we put on. That is our time car needs to be finished on, so the tech can look at the job and say, okay, I've got to get this done today. This one is actually a custom project. And
right.
So extended means we don't have a finish time scheduled. That's really rare, actually. We usually have some finish time. That's my son-in-law, so he doesn't count. But
paying double.
And that one, we're waiting for parts. So that one actually, we're using this as a catch-all right now. And as I said, I'm going to be reviewing, adding on some pieces and changing that. But as you can see, when the tech looks at it, we know right away, we're waiting for parts. The job's extended, we're not working on it today. There's going to be that one, go down to like the 911. That one, if you keep going, you'll find some working jobs. Scroll down is what you need to do. There you go. Those are the more active jobs. So
End of day 626.
Yeah, and that one needs updated. That's one of the things I'm looking at is we are going past the deadlines right now on these, so it's teaching us something. There's one, that one's in the shop, and we want to finish it today. The ones that we're past deadlines on, that's to me training. My service writer is fairly new, and he needs to open up all these tiles and go over them and look at his day and schedule, and tell the technicians what the new, because the 626 doesn't work anymore. So that one is not going to happen. So we need the information to be brought into reality. That's our first expectation was 626 on that vehicle, but that changed. So with a new service writer, I'm now in training mode. I'm actually going to go out and tell him to do processes and things like that. But when it works right, it works really, really good. And that most of the jobs that are here today, all the markers are correct on them because I scrubbed over those. Like that, the Porsche 911, I know it's right. It's an alignment, blah, 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 So even as much as we've been using this, go ahead.
What exactly do you use the alignment marker for? Is that kind of also a equipment resource management? So everybody knows the alignment is used by.
We need the rack. Yeah. When my production manager sees that, he knows that today we may not use the alignment rack every day for alignments, but today we need it for alignment, and it's going to be a 3-hour alignment. That all that stuff happens intuitively just by seeing the marker. That's the efficiency.
And so one of the other things when you talk about the efficiency of these markers is there's certain jobs that we want to apply that marker for 2 reasons. One is so that we know that piece of equipment can be tied up, but also for the service writer to have a great visual just by putting the labor line on a repair order, what piece of equipment is going to be used and the skill level of that technician. So I have some shops that they'll use this for alignment, so they use it for testing and diagnosis. They'll make another one for computer flash pre-programming because they know only certain techs can do that. It makes it really easy to quick look, dispatch, drop it on them, and go to work.
Yep. And so let's talk a little bit about what happens now, or I should say what doesn't happen now that you have those special markers in place. Kind of what, how do you realize the efficiency gains, Thomas? Would you have double stacking the alignment bays or then the service writer's out trying to, problem solve and has a group meeting, with the techs trying to sort it all out in the middle of the day, right?
We're kind of maybe a little unique because my lead tech is also the production manager. He dispatches, so everything goes out to him, and the service advisor doesn't dispatch, but he does block out time per tech. So the time per tech is done by we take every job and we add, if it's scheduled for 5 hours, we put it at 5.5 or 6 hours on the calendar. We block out a little extra time and watch for all of our utilization of hours being taken up in that day. And then, whatever else needs to happen has to move forward. It's physically impossible to do more work, And then after that, we don't even really assign a tech at that level. I let Carl do that in the shop as sort of a shop foreman, production manager. I feel like he's on the floor, sees all the balls rolling in the shop. So he's the one that needs to know who can do what. He knows the technicians the best. He knows their skills. He's out there all the time. So and he's also, like a duck to water with it. He's really good at it. So in our position, we have somebody that can be in the shop and delegate everything out. And so maybe for that reason, partly we haven't embraced a bunch of new markers yet because we've been doing this for like 2 years. And so we're in that mode where, it works right now. We're going with it, and then we'll get in a mode pretty soon where we're going to start going for the next things and pushing the envelope, you know, and trying some new things. And he's very amenable at doing that as well. So we have, you know, a lot of fun doing it, you know. And this TVPX is fairly new still. You know, we had some bugs. We kind of, you know, with the new TVPX, it was fairly new. So some of it, I just wanted it to work the way it worked first, the way we did things. And we had some internet problems here. We had some issues. So I really wanted the system to settle down for a few months and run, and then kind of go back into, okay, let's try a whole bunch of new stuff. You know, that's kind of the way
that makes sense.
I've been treating it. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so does your lead tech have a workstation out in the basement? Does he have he has his own TVPX? And so and so does he? And so that's another thing that folks might not know, and we should discuss is in that, because that goes towards that efficiency and productivity. Is, you know, you can set configurations for your role, and so instead of seeing all the columns and kind of all the stages, you can set up a configuration that just applies to what you need to get done. You know, for him, it's going to be kind of post-dispatch, parts deliveries, QA, that kind of stuff. Bay, you know, where, you know, building out the special markers to mark his bays and things like that for equipment resources. And really be able to get a view that is going to benefit you and cut out all of the waste and the fluff and the extra stuff you got to kind of scroll through and deal with. And again, raise up that efficiency.
So we have Carl as a shop foreman, or, you know, kind of production manager. I need to play with the production manager role. I've set it up, but we haven't played with it yet because we had another system running. We assigned Carl on every RO as a labor assist technician. So on every RO, Carl gets every notification.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it makes him a little busy, but they're really quick to clear. He can keep working. He has TVPX up on, the tablet up on his little Samsung phone. It's not compliant, but it works great. And so he has it on a tablet and on his cell phone. And he's finding, oh, parts are here for that. Great. And he puts the phone back in his pocket, you know. He needs all the information so he can make shop flow decisions and what's next, all those decisions.
Yeah.
And he gets all that because we set up in MaxTrax a labor assist line. And so maybe that was one of our workarounds. That's why I haven't really needed maybe to work into the production manager part of TVPX yet, because we built a system immediately when we started on TVP.
You're muted again, buddy. You're muted.
The production manager role will be discussed next week.
Yeah.
But I still have some work to do here. I guess Bill, you got an alert for diagnostic level 1. You want to take care of this?
Yeah, my service rider's on the phone.
So this is what we call the vehicle alert, right? So there is no real chat to a named person. It's all about the vehicle.
Right.
So you see on the left side the vehicles all listed, which had alerts. And then you can sort them. You can see that at the top there's a search order. We recommend the unread oldest on top, and then the most recent, so you don't, you know, things don't fall through the cracks, right? And so that's exactly what Thomas had said here. But if you have a different process and it's all about speed of the most recent first, then you can change the order.
Yeah, and Uwe, you reacted correctly. When you see those little red dots on those flags on the right side, that's Danger Will Robinson. That's the way I teach it. You know, you need to get there. My technician might need just one simple answer on something, and he's waiting out in the shop for me to answer it, or move the car out, or lots of little things. And that becomes your primary flow factor, and you have to take it really seriously.
Oh yeah, because in the past that would have been a guy standing at the counter, right?
Yeah, right.
You wouldn't have got an answer. He would have came up front and he'd be standing there.
So it's a mindset.
Off the phone.
Yeah. it's a mindset thinking you have to shift, because, you know, when you're working on the computer, all these colors and pictures and graphics are there. You've got multiple programs running, you know, but you still have a technician standing at your counter staring at you with that little red dot, you know, and you've got to be disciplined digitally with this, or you'll create more problems than you solve.
Yeah.
And so, Bill, would you mind clicking on, you know, for example, the Porsche 911 or one of the two? Maybe we have see. So here you see the full-blown potential communication. I hope that's okay to share.
Yeah.
Too late.
No, it's
What
good.
do you?
No.
We're going to edit it out.
Yeah. Okay.
And so you
Oh,
can,
he's even got emojis in there. I've never seen that. When did you guys add emojis?
Oh,
you know,
I didn't even
So-
know that. My service supervisor figured that out.
I'm telling you. Learn something new every day, I got to tell you. Got emojis in there. That's awesome.
and there's more. What you can also do now with the chat is quickly exchange, you know, singular documents as PDF or images. You just copy it. You either use the attach image at the top, or just wherever the image is open in whatever image editor you use outside, you just copy and paste it.
I've used that multiple times. The customer will bring in a document from a dealership, and I'll copy it in and throw it up there. And
Yeah.
that saves all that. What do we do with this paper? Does it sit on the desk and we lose it and it gets thrown in the trash? You know, and if the tech needs to see that document and look at what the other shop was talking about or what mileage had happened and anything, he's got that document now. That was really cool. We started using that immediately.
Yeah. And now you have it forever. It's always on file.
Yeah, right. That's really important to us. That continuity of service and history, as you continue to use that system where you document everything and do continuity of service and keep the history, when those customers come back in and you have all that information and you can review it, it has saved us from major problems with customers and times. I've pulled up documents in the past and said, listen, this is what we did last time. Here's the picture. And taken a customer at a 9 down to a 1 in about 10 seconds.
Wow. Yep. CYA.
It is.
So-
It's a lot of this is defensive medicine.
Sure.
Bill is
Yeah.
pointing at a very important feature, I believe. And there's nothing
Yes.
there's nothing worse than a message you believe the other person has consumed and they haven't. Right? So you believe everybody is on the same page, but they're not. And
Right.
so this little blue check mark is very important to know, the other person has read it, we're good. Right? Everybody knows we're on the same page. And I'm turning that into a super important feature, and everybody who uses Facebook Messenger said, what are you talking about? I've been using this for a decade now. True. I just want to make this really clear that for people who are not on digital communication so much and don't have kids who force them to, right? Those are really time savers of extraordinary order. Right? A little check mark makes everybody known everybody's on the same page. Very
Yeah, and it allows you to shift gears, right? You can put that one down and go to the next one, because think about it, when you send a message out to somebody and you don't have that notification, did they get they're not doing the thing I asked them, did they get my message? Did they get my message? That's sticking in your head until you finally walk out there and go, hey, did you get my message? And the guy's like, yeah, I was going to answer as soon as I'm done with what you see in my hands, right? And again, there goes a interrupt. There goes a chance for a mistake to happen. All of those things are eliminated because you keep them right there. He can see that the information's been received and then just download it out of his mind and move on.
That's really important to me too, because I actually won't allow people at a professional level to talk to me over chat on my phone very much. I hate people talking to me over text because of that loss of continuity or connection. You don't know if they got it. You don't know. But well, this system was built with those answers. It answers those questions. It takes away that mystery. Because I love digital stuff, but I won't let my technicians like text me and say, hey, I'm going to be late to work. I text them back and say, you better call me. You know?
Yeah.
Or I won't
Is
even
this
text.
even you
Sometimes I won't
texting me,
even
or is this your wife?
Sometimes I won't even answer them. I will just ignore it, delete it, because it's not. I've told them from the very beginning, do not text me about important stuff. You know, and this is the opposite. This is built well enough that the communication is completed.
Yes. Yeah, because like you said earlier, you can upload the resources so you have a record of that, you know, of the context, and then you know it's been received, right?
Right.
And I mean, that kind of ends the conversation right there. You saw it and I sent it.
So when you want to measure your full adoption to the digital internal communication in your shop, if you challenge your staff to go through a day without the service writers and the techs talking to each other, by only using the communication, you'll know that they've arrived, and they'll actually love it because they save so much time. So, you know, a challenge with a barbecue at the end of it, I'm sure the staff will accept it, and then you can prove out to them that they're spot on.
Yep, it's play the silence game, right? Play the quiet game, and that's a great challenge, and that's a great way to incrementally develop the habits. Make it fun. It doesn't have to be, you know, there's a sharp switch and it's like this, you know, from now on. Start to do it in baby steps, get a taste of it, have fun with it, and then before you know it, it becomes that habit, and you don't have to reinforce it anymore.
So while we're waiting for this to go and come apart, what I really like about this is that, you know, in our shop, we'd always talk about the service writer never wanting them to leave their perch. So this is a great way to go and keep them, you know, in their chair and save some time, and maybe even make it to where they capture enough time they can have lunch.
Yeah, and then there goes more calories. Pack it on those pounds. That's why that gym membership. So maybe the incentive isn't that barbecue. Maybe it is a gym membership, or maybe it's a treadmill. It's a shop treadmill. Or
now, Tom,
maybe you get your.
We're really working on developing well-rounded employees.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's funny too, because I don't know, I might be wrong, and Uwe can correct me, or Bill, you correct me, but I think that you know, service advisors that need a gym membership in the digital shop came about from Bill, wasn't it? From when you were at Craig's, and didn't you have
absolutely. We went from each way going to visit a technician with 77 steps, and by eliminating all that, basically you put on the weight real quickly. So that's why I messaged Uwe and said, you owe me a gym membership. We've adopted, and I'm a well-rounded employee.
That's right. That's exactly where that came from. Yeah, because you guys had bays across the parking lot or something. And I remember when you first came to us, Bill, that was one of your biggest value props, is that you didn't have to take your cordless phone and walk across the parking lot all day.
Yep, 2 separate buildings.
Yeah.
That's funny. I always look for cautionary parts on these things. Like what Bill said was, you know, you want the service writer to stay in his chair and not go out and shop, and I agree. But I also have trained my service advisors that, you know, they're locked into that screen and on that chair, but maybe a couple times in the morning or a couple times in the day, go out and walk through the shop and get a visual inspection, because there's a value to that, to say, okay, I can see that the valve covers are off this, and kind of get a intuitive sense of what's going on in the shop. And a customer calls and says, hey, I just checking on progress. The technician and the service advisor are disconnected a little bit. Service advisors can say, hey, yeah, it's the valve covers there's an intuitiveness and a connection that comes from a little bit of physical activity and physical observation. So I actually train that. How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
So we actually use cameras in our shops so we could see what was going on, and then we also encourage our technicians to go ahead and update their progress as they went through a repair order, so the service writer could pretty much look at it and say, hey, you know, they're 25% into this job and that job and so on. So it actually helped out really well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and you know, and a good point to that too, though it's a different type of trip, right? That's a productive visit out into the bays versus I'm running out there with my hair on fire to scream and yell at somebody. You know, now I'm actually observing things and I'm learning and I'm, you know, and I'm managing. By the way, Uvo, yeah, we got you back. And real quick, I want to give, Terry Scafidi has a great point in the chat, and she's saying she's super excited for the changes for the new TVPX. Her motto is, if it's not in writing, it was never said. And so this is another way to reinforce this and have better, more consistent communication, and more importantly, right, is accountability to each other, which makes, you know, a whole better shop environment and from a morale perspective. When I can trust and everybody's accountable to each other and we have that mutual trust, we get a lot more stuff done. And shout out also to Mark Lemieux. Happy Canada Day. Enjoy your holiday weekend.
Perfect, Bill. Thank you for moving your cursor around. I want to give you a few Easter eggs since we talked about emojis. There's a little bit more I want to show you guys. So I don't know whether you noticed Bill's cursor, but when the chat appeared on the screen, he immediately went there and put his cursor there. And so what that does is as follows. We are thinking that you as a service advisor who's using the system is extremely busy. So you need a short reminder, hey, there's something new for you. You might not get interrupted because it's more important and you want to finish it first. But if you think this is the next thing you're going to do, you just hover over with your cursor very quickly, and that slows down the rate at which this chat is going to disappear. Right? So if you ignore those chats in the lower right corner, they will then appear as a red index about how many chats you haven't read yet on the right-hand side in the communication channel. But if you know that's the next thing I'm going to do, just hover over it. And so it slows down its disappearance, right? Nice little feature for service advisors getting on to the next feature. The other thing I want to let you know is when Bill opened this chat window right in front of us, there were the messages highlighted blue which have not been read yet. And so you have to either click on them to make them read. Just opening it and looking at them is not going to get you anywhere because it's too easy to miss the chat, right? So you have to click on it to acknowledge, yes, I have read it. And if you're behind a few chats, you just use the mark all as read at the far right. Bill is hovering over it right now. Or you start entering a response, then we know you have read it, right? That's actually the fastest way. You just entering a response, then all messages get read by default. So I want to point that out because if you just look at them, your technician will not get a read receipt because we don't know whether you really consumed the information. So you have to click on it, write a response, or mark all messages as read. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. How are we doing on time?
We got a couple minutes, but I'd like to get back, if we could, to the timeline, to the infographic, and just make sure that we've gotten kind of everything there. And if anybody's got any questions, go ahead and chat them in. We'll get them in the air. We still got time. And then also you can take them into the Facebook forum. I believe Dustin put a link into the chat. If you're not familiar or not already registered, if you're not, get in there. There's thousands of shop owners in there that are helping each other out all day, every day. And it's probably one of the most valuable resources you can get because the price of admission is zero. So it's a private group. We'll, just request to join and we'll approve you, get you in there. We're going to ask you some questions, make sure you're not from the, the KGB or something in there spying on us, but that's okay. So you got 1 minute to do workflow, buddy. No pressure.
We didn't talk much about the group chat feature in this system.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, let's do team. Yeah.
The teams where I've set up a team where, since I have a production manager, I have a team with my production manager and a technician as a team. So I can do the same thing as we're doing on the MaxTrack side, where I can talk to Carl and the technician about what the technician is doing.
Right.
And then
so maybe use the remaining minute to go quickly back to sharing the screen, because the infogram, the link can be shared easily. So if you wouldn't mind again and open the team chat.
So team chat, down at the bottom is SW Edwin, and if you look at who's on it, SW, there's two of them, I don't know why, but there's SW Edwin. That means the service writer, the production manager, and the technician are on that chat.
Oh yeah, makes sense. Pretty cool.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so and we need to use these more. This is about, hey, can you clean up that bay for the next car? It's not necessarily about a car, but it has to do with that tech. You might have left a mess and we need to get it cleaned up and get to the next job. That isn't about a car.
I've got shops that have actually been pretty creative in defining these already. They've went ahead and the shop owners made a group chat that goes to everybody in the building that says, hey, I want a meeting right now. I've had the technicians go ahead and create one that says, hey, I need all my big bulky guys to help me push in this vehicle.
Yeah,
so they've created a channel and then they just
use a good one
again.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
There's another one for lunch. Lunch is ready, but again, you can get creative and use it. So mainly it's all about quick, clear communication and defining who's the member of that group and who owns it. And then just take off and go from there.
Right.
And so you can see here that the service team is the actual owner of this one, and then these are members of this group, and the owner of that can go ahead and change them as they need to.
Right.
And of course, whether it's a tech or a service advisor and so on.
So there should be no reason to use an alternate chat system anymore. Everything is built into the TVP.
That's the whole point, Uwe. Yeah, totally. That was, to me, the big reason switching over to this new system. This was it.
I see.
This is so nice that this made it worth it. All the other nice stuff you did, this was my big thing, and it
Everybody's
works
got
great.
their favorites.
Yeah, this is it.
So there's one other thing in the chat that you haven't talked about, and that is if a individual person makes a support ticket, then the communication that's needed about that support ticket is going to go back to that individual employee.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we fixed the issue that half the shop got informed about a question from our tech support. It goes directly to the submitter of the ticket, whether tech on the tablet or person in front of the screen. I also want to give you a little sneak peek on what's next. I put it in the Facebook forum. We're going to have a little discussion tomorrow, and if you want to be part of it, please PM me on Facebook. I will invite you, where we discuss a new communication channel we will establish from your website to the TVP. Right, so more and more motorists don't pick up the phone, they go to the website and then want to use chat, and instead of leaving an email in the contact us form, right, we want to support that the service advisor who is watching the TVP can actually start communicating with a motorist on your website. And it doesn't need to be an Autoriters website. We will make that available to, but it always helps, of course. But you will get it to everybody. And we are in the definition phase of this feature, and if you want to be part of it, and especially if you use chat features by, for example, OpenBay or broadly, chat features which we have analyzed very carefully and wanna do a better job, then please PM me tomorrow at 11 Pacific. We're going to do a webinar about what we'll be implementing next. If you want to be part of it, that will be awesome.
Yeah, that's exciting stuff. It's your opportunity to be part of the development of, new stuff that's going to help you. And, with this communication tool, I mean, you see it's greatly enhanced from kind of our, the one that we have in the legacy TVP now. And that was from a lot of feedback over the years, right? Is people putting in feature requests and telling us, hey, I don't use this thing because it stinks. And, or I would use it if it did this, and really learning from your feedback so that we can get to this point. And now, I mean, this is a highly efficient communication tool. And now we're just taking it to the next step to bring the outside in, right? So now you can chat directly to a digital motorist, whether they're on their phone, they're coming through your website, and you don't have to try to manage that in a separate place. Because to Uva's point, and if you're using chat now, if you're not monitoring it, it goes into an inbox, and if you have, you're going to answer it tomorrow, well, they probably already got the repair done. You know what I mean? The reason they're chatting is because they want instant real-time communication. They just don't want to call you. And so right here in the communication center, everything's coming together. And again, it's to drive that efficiency and the productivity, and just give you the tools to manage people internally and externally in the way that they are going to respond and communicate most effectively with you, whether it's your tech or whether it's a potential customer. But it's all right here for your service advisor to stay on top of it and not, falling through the cracks or forgetting or having to write a bunch of notes to try to keep it in my head to remember I've got to make all these callbacks and I've got to get all this information managed. And so, yeah, I'd like to give a little plug before we break, and that's tune in next week, right? Same time, same place, Wednesday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to be talking about the production manager specialization role. And we've got John Long from Tech Automotive coming on with us again. And as you remember, he even did a breakout about it at our conference, and he's been now about a little over a year into this. And so we're going to get a lot of insights. And so folks out there that are considering that specialization role, make sure you catch this show. Give all of, even start asking the questions now in the Facebook forum and help us to, prepare and really, get some of, because, I got to tell you, John is just a font of information and just such a, a great person to come on and give this help us to get the questions kind of out of them that you're looking for to help you make a decision if you want to implement that type of specialization or role. So next Wednesday, same time, same place. Register if you're not registered. You can go to autovitals.com/DSTR and just get registered because that way you get the notifications. You automatically get the recording sent to you, the infographic that you're going to want to download here that Uva put together. So you kind of have a real clear to do, how to make those process changes and implement these digital shop best practices for your operation.
We probably also want to ask them to talk to their trainer about the upgrade path to TVPX and, have their trainer help them go through the process and get them ready. So that way they're on target to go ahead and change when they're ready.
Yeah, that's a great point, Bill. Appreciate that. Because I know, we're kind of showing more and more kind of, sneak peeks of the new TVPX and some of this functionality. I know people are champing at the bit to get a hold of it. And so get a hold of your trainer. You can get them right through the BCP, put a task in there and say, switch me to TVPX. And then they'll contact you and they'll talk to you about the process and getting onto the list and all that stuff that we need to get in place before we can switch you over. But squeaky wheel gets the grease, and there's going to be quite a bit of transition happening, so it doesn't hurt to get in line early. Well, thank you very much, Thomas. Can't thank you enough, buddy, for coming on. It was great. I think
Thank
you helped a lot of folks out today, and really appreciate you sharing some of the insights in which you and Bill and Uva and all the Turbo Group have been working on to produce the TVPX and get this new update rolled out. And we can't thank you enough, buddy.
Yeah, you guys kind of got the image system, the video system working. I saw it come up, and once that was running, I don't see any reason to stop now. This is a very robust system.
Yeah. So get online, get in line. This is coming out for you. Be excited. We are. A lot of hard work's been going into it, and and this is just another one of the people that have been bringing it to you. Thank Thomas. Go on Facebook, friend him, give him some thumbs up, send him some nice love his way, because he's been doing a lot of hard work to benefit us all. So we really appreciate that.
So where do we sign this petition for the internet to be kind to Tom?
I'm going to take a hammer to my computer right now.
Probably.
I'm going to format. I'm going to turn it.
Yeah, probably Google. You probably said something on Google they didn't like.
No, you know what I did? I came in and it wasn't connecting, and I rebooted, and I said restart, not restart and update, but it forced an update into Microsoft Edge, whatever that is. It's some new browser, and now nothing works. I'm in trouble. So I'm going to try to see if I can roll it back and get ready for next week. But thanks for your patience. Appreciate everybody sticking in. We had a great crowd in today. Thank you for all the questions and engagement and chat. Keep it up and take that conversation onto the Facebook forum and continue it there. If you've got ideas which you'd like to see, some show episodes, things that are going to help you out and give you some better insight and help in your operation, let us know. Put it up in Facebook, and we'd be glad to have you on to talk about it.